welcome to our CE Retail Awards Forum and the panel on retail development and, ascendance of retail parks and outlet centers. I would say from the panelists, let me just take a look at our group from LinkedIn group that we're running everything through. It gives us better sound if we keep this to a minimum. So, all right, we got 150 so far and 157, and it's growing. So good, we'll get started, as we always like to get these things started on time. So let's, I think it's a great opportunity to talk about, retail parks and outlet centers. At least it's a positive outlook on retail. So what I'd like to do first is let's just start with the panelists introducing themselves. And Brendan, hey, good to see you. Let's start with you. Just introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about Fashion House. And I know you have a lot of projects that are under construction and doing well as well. But give us a little bit of a rundown on yourself. And
okay. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Brendan O'Reilly. I'm the managing director of Fashion House. Currently sitting in my office in Glasgow, but I have been to Romania and Russia since the turn of the year. So yeah, thanks, Craig. Nice to see you're well. We're, I suppose, as most outlet centres are, doing very well. We're double-digit green since the start of the year. We are opening. On the 24th of November, we opened the third phase of our centre in Bucharest. And on the 27th of May, we will open our next centre in Romania, which is on the east side of Bucharest and in Baladi. So yeah, all things going well. I think, what can I say about the last 18 momentous months? Yeah. I think never before has partnership between landlords and tenants been so important. I think we're all in the same boat. We've certainly now benefiting from the partnership and the interaction that we had during COVID with our tenants. We're fortunate in St. Petersburg, we're only closed for 6 weeks. Everywhere else we're closed about 12. But as I'm sure everyone is experiencing since we reopened, I think because the outlet offer and location and consumer is particularly good for the COVID situation, we're flying. Of course, men's formal, nobody's buying suits much. Nobody's buying suitcases much. The Russians can't travel. Nobody can travel at the moment. So, nobody's buying swimwear and leisure, but sportswear, jeans, huge business, absolutely huge. We've had 50-meter queues outside of our Nike store and conversion numbers that I've never seen before. Everyone walking into that store buying lots, either because they want to lose weight or because they've put on weight and lockdown, or because they've been locked up in their flat for 2-3 months and just want to get out and move around and get outside. So yeah, so very, very happy to be here. Good to see you're well, Craig, and I'm happy to hear.
Yeah, great to have you. And I think last time you were on our panel was over the summer, and I just remember you brought up St. Petersburg, and I just remember you saying, hey, we were closed for a few weeks, and the next few weeks we were open, we did double the sales as the past. So
absolutely huge. Now, that was, we had the benefit, and I'm very proud of that. The St. Petersburg government permitted several, I won't name names because we're in a public environment. There were 6 shopping or retail assets, we were one of them, that were permitted to open on a particular Friday. We all spoke to each other, which is why I was surprised on the final results. I know all these guys pretty well. And I said, look, we're the ambassadors for Russia. We have to take this seriously. We have to do it well. Otherwise, no one else or our other shopping centres, outlet centres, won't be allowed to open. And the next day, which was the Saturday, the St. Petersburg authorities inspected every single retail asset that was allowed to open. And we were the only ones that were allowed to remain open. All of the others were closed. So we were for 6 weeks after that opening, we were the only shopping centre and it wasn't double business, it was meteoric business. We were the only place to buy anything. So it was huge numbers, absolutely huge. And it's continued, not to that extent, even since everything else has reopened. And now, just last week, in fact, St. Petersburg, all of the food court restrictions have been released. So I spent 6 or 8 weeks in Russia between the early January and middle of February, and there's almost nothing there. I'm also the recipient of Sputnik 5 vaccine, so I've got the Russian version, which, if anyone's interested, seems to work, and I was fine with it. So.
Well, you look better than ever, so I'm sure it must be working. Some good Russian vitamins. So Jacek, let's just jump to you right now, especially when we were talking about, being sometimes thinking about, the guys that were the only places open and doing well. So, but first tell Jacek, I know you were just on our panel, but on our past panel, but tell us a little bit about yourself, your company, and, and how, let's say I guess it was a couple of years ago or a few years ago, people were kind of joking about all these, these retail parks, and I don't think they're laughing anymore, right?
Yeah. So short introduction maybe of myself. I'm on this market already from 30 years. I built the first inner city shopping center called Cliff in Gdynia, where I actually live till today. Afterwards, I built more than 70 projects in Poland. And fortunately today, we are one of the leaders in development of retail parks. Today, actually, it's a very favorable moment for us because everyone being closed. Actually, retail parks, not that much. Only few of our shops been closed. So maybe also don't know about this, that we are the biggest owner of Biedronka supermarkets in the world, private one. We have 120 Biedronkas in Poland and around 50 Pingodos in Portugal. So this was also stabilizing our situation while supermarkets been open through the whole pandemic period of time. But what is actually the most important, this product, this retail park as real estate asset, it was not interesting at all. Last year, we've been discussing, actually during our event with you last year, that we are producing some sheds on the suburbs of Poland. Right. Today, it's really not funny at all. Actually, our assets, which are close to living of people, which are click and collect places of goods bought on the internet, which are open because we are not oversizing. We are not bigger than this limits given by state. Mm-hmm. We haven't been actually hurted by pandemic, but our tenants, yes. So this is actually important to say. We also reacted on tenants' needs. We team up with, as all landlords of retail parks, somehow March, I guess, and we negotiated as all landlords of retail parks with tenants. Already in May, we have had agreements with nearly all of these tenants how to proceed in future. Mm-hmm. Actually, second wave of pandemic was also covered by these agreements. So we stabilized situation of tenants and ours already in May. We've been hurted, but this was not any drama from our point of view.
Right. Well, I think that's a great point because, gosh, so many retailers I've talked to, it seems like them and their lawyers are spending full time battling the landlords or the agreements instead of focusing on business, and probably vice versa. Yeah. That's
crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the guys said, "Hey, I'm working more with our lawyer trying to get the rental, whatever, obviously price down, and more, the lawyers are making, on full time, where maybe in the past they call the lawyer once every 5 years to renegotiate the lease." Yeah.
This is actually a very important topic because retail parks, as each separate product, they are small and not any, say, spectacular. Mm-hmm. That's why nearly also in foreign-owned companies, decision being left to local staff. We locally living here in Poland, we know which tenant needs help, which one don't need. Imagine a situation where you have a spectacular project somewhere in big city and the decisive person is sitting somewhere in New York, London, or Kapstadt. He give a damn what's locally is going on in Poland. That's why this decision been growing without feelings to these tenants, without somehow understanding what's actually is going on locally here. Mm-hmm. So this was one of the big things which I've never been thinking before, which stabilized us earlier than others.
I think it's a very good point, Craig. In my travels recently, I've met many tenants who are talking about landlords in a way that makes me embarrassed for our sector. But it's very, very specific reaction. And this has happened more than once, where what I would call prime successful retail asset landlords are just ignoring any requests for discussion with tenants and still sending invoices when the centre's closed. Right. And the result of that is, and I've heard this statement first time in my career in real estate many times, where tenants are saying, I could not care less whether this is the most profitable store that I have, but the treatment I've had from that landlord, no names.
I think we know who you're talking about anyway.
Yeah, that landlord will simply mean that the first possible option I can terminate that lease, I will. I couldn't care less whether it's profitable. I couldn't care less whether it's the highest profile store that I have in my portfolio. I will terminate. And in one instance, it's a guy that I've known many, many years. It was Romania, again, no names. But he said, I won't send it. I will walk into their office. I'll go to their managing director and I will slam it on his desk. Right. And it's crazy. It's just crazy that you have landlords that are in that situation. But, they have to live with their decisions. Yeah.
And like Jacek mentioned, it's someone from abroad just issuing invoices and they're probably losing money locally. So it's like, hey, let's just make sure we get it from somewhere else. Yeah. Having said that, Roxana, let's bring Roxana in. Tell us a little bit about yourself. AFI, I know you guys are on the ground, hands-on all the time. Just knowing your company from the past, but tell us a little bit about yourself and what AFI's doing now in Europe, on the retail side.
Hello, hi everybody from Bucharest. My name is Roxana Sănculescu, and I am leading the retail leasing department at AFI Europe. We are running in Romania 3 shopping centers already opened, and we have under development 2 other projects. One retail park, first retail park of AFI in Romania, and one convenience center.
Okay. Were these planned before COVID, or have you just planned them since COVID?
No, we were planning since COVID because, actually we saw this appetite for retail parks and convenience center even before March 2020. So even before COVID, we saw Romania very open to this kind of projects, and most probably there is a combination in between the customer needs to move towards the quick shopping, the quick everyday shopping, right? And in the same time, the shopping center market, which is saturated and is already mature, and big shopping centers became places more for entertainment or more for fashion, luxury footwear, jewelry, and so on. So people, even before COVID started, we saw them we saw this orientation for retail parks and convenience centers.
Right. And I saw sorry. Go ahead.
Please.
Well,
this was the idea.
Some of our team was taking photos in, I think it was Cotroceni Shopping Center, and you have the food court open and seating, and all this is working, I understand now, right?
We are Romania had the big advantage during this period, not having the lockdown. The total lockdown in Romania was just 2 months.
Right.
So all the shopping centers were open, excluding the food courts and the cinemas. The food courts were open 1 month ago everywhere, But okay, there is a certain rule across the country where there is a big number of new cases. The local authorities are able to decide to close the restaurants and the food courts and shopping centers. But comparing to all the other countries in Central Eastern Europe, or even in Southern Europe, Bulgaria and all other countries around, we were really lucky. And we feel that, and also in the reaction of the retailers, that the international retailers that are quite happy with this situation.
Right. Yeah, no, I saw the pictures. It was great to see it open because, even with shopping centers open here, and for example,
yes, finally, yeah, it's really nice to feel again that feeling that the tables are alive. And you are not just walking in a place with no tables. So yeah, and you can see even people without masks sitting. So it's starting to, I don't know, you have this feeling of normality again. So yeah.
So with the convenience center you're opening and the retail park you're developing, what has been the initial reaction on the leasing side?
It's a very positive reaction. This is was the idea that I started before. So we have positive reactions. We were expecting to this positive reaction. We have these two projects already working on for 3 years. But now it's the time to be there.
Right.
We see this positive reaction from retailers from all perspectives. From, of course, economically speaking, that the cost in a retail park is definitely lower and more efficient than in a shopping center. Now with pandemic, even more, this trend has been further supported by the pandemic, actually. Right. That people feel safer in an open environment. The fact that they can come with their own car in the parking and so on. Now, yeah, we all know all the advantages of retail parks. So yeah, in Romania, actually in 2020, there were open 2 shopping centers. One of them is our shopping center in Brasov, and another one in another regional city. Which represents, I think, about 35% out of all the stock delivered last year. The rest are shopping centers, are retail parks, and convenience centers.
Right.
Good. So this says everything about. That's the conclusion of 2020, and the trend continues.
Yeah, sure. So Monica, let's jump to you. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and your new project that's coming up.
Hello everyone, I'm Monica Woźniak-Zawioła. I'm representing Aquilis here. That is the Belgium developer active in 7 European countries, in Spain, Portugal, France, Netherlands, Belgium, Germany, and Poland. So we are the only one in CE. We have completed the Helm Shopping Center, which is over 17,000 GLA project, and we opened in March during lockdown. We are very happy. We, even though we have been not successful with getting regular bank financing, we started construction of another project, which is a retail park in Andrychów of over 23,000. So these are the 2 stripes of retail parks together with a large Leroy Merlin DIY. Aquilis grew from retail and from the master franchise in Belgium with Carrefour. It even has a special logo there. So we do believe in retail, and in Poland, unlike I beg to differ a little bit with with Jacek. He's not the only one. 4 years ago, I was the one who said, I want to have Aquilis here, and I will help you to establish business in Poland. And the first project I brought was home. So this is a shopping center. And then, even though I knew from my previous career, I was the head of retail capital markets at DTZ and Cushman, I knew Equilis and they were looking for retail projects. But then, you know, a question landed on the table: why shopping center? So this is a regional, a mid-size shopping center. So and this is sort of a convenience for the region and for the city, and those smaller projects we believe in, and the retail parks. And then why? It was an abstract question for me, because more than 70% of the market in Poland is our shopping centers, and everyone loves shopping centers here. While in Belgium, it's the other way around, and in the other countries when Equilis is present, then the retail parks dominate. So I was strongly looking also for retail parks, definitely. And Andrychów is the first project we do here in a joint venture with Acteum. You know, you are not the only one, Jacek, that believes in retail parks here and believed that a few years ago.
Right, great. Okay, Winston, sorry, go ahead.
I remember it very well, this meeting. It was very painful from perspective of today, because we were sitting on a motorboat in Cannes with the best champagne in our hands. So these memories today are especially painful.
In fact, I use the Jacek as a professional and, let's say, a competition representative in Cannes to convince my shareholders to invest in Poland in retail parks as well. And thank you for that. Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and of course, our next awards, we will be giving champagne to everybody all day. Maybe not sitting on a boat, but we're definitely going to have a lot more champagne in 2022 awards.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, and you all have to come, because it's going to be a lot of fun. So Winston, jumping to you real quick. Also, Winston's taking care of the questions. Winston, just give us a little update on yourself, and if we have any questions already from the audience. I'm checking the ones over here through LinkedIn as well.
So good afternoon, everyone. I'm Winston Norman. I'm the editorial director of EuropaProperty.com, managing the newsletter, the website, our magazines, and doing a lot of back office project management on our events. And today I'll be hosting the questions from all participants and attendees through Hoover, LinkedIn, Zoom. So I'll try to get all those questions. If you could put, if all attendees could put the questions in the Q&A, then I'll try to get them to the panelists as soon as possible.
Okay, Julie, welcome. Welcome back. You're on mute still.
Hi, Julie.
On mute, sorry.
Yeah, no problem. Welcome back. I know you were just on our last panel, but you know, with all the shopping centers, and I see we have a lot of shopping center owners. Just looking down the list, it looks like we have them all, even the ones Brendan were talking about with the invoices. Anyway, let's just and as you're really the marketing guru on this, maybe just a minute or two on how to position yourself is in some of these shopping centers and malls and anything new coming up with convenience centers and outlet centers.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting time. There's no doubt about that. But I think that there's some trends that we can see. There's a lot of innovation. I think people are starting to think now about the future. And think about innovation and doing things differently. I think the rise in well-being is important. And that goes hand in hand with sustainability, I think, with people's concern for sustainability. When we talk to our clients, be they in Warsaw or be they in London, sustainability is something that that is a concern, that is increasingly important. What's coming from that? The well-being aspect is part of that sustainability. That's the social part of sustainability. And we're seeing a rise of projects that are interested in how they can bring well-being into their project, be that through outdoor gyms or children's play or active entertainment. So entertainment and leisure, which is less static. and more active. And I think we're seeing more of that. We work with Gravity Active Entertainment, and we also work with Play Power, who do children's play. And both of them are seeing increasing amounts of interest, but also interest in doing things differently.
Right.
And with lots of different formats, and also active entertainment, not just for, for children, for young people, and also for adults. That's a change. I think active entertainment for adults, that's been a change, and we see that in the competitive gaming activities, and those becoming also more active. So I think we're seeing quite a lot of that, Craig, and that's something that we've been doing quite a lot of work on during the last year.
Mm-hmm. Great, Brendan, and just a question. Thanks for that, Julie, and we'll come back to you on especially the active entertainment. But so, Brendan, just a question for you. I was going through Fashion House here in Warsaw, and I saw that you're doing a huge expansion to it. And then from there, I noticed, like you said, you've got some clients that, I think every shop I was in that was really sports related was super busy. And then the guys doing the suits and the luggage, not a shock, they were pretty quiet. How do you juggle that? Because the suits will come back, the luggage business will come back. How do you juggle those retailers that are, let's say, doing better than ever with those that are really having a tough time in your shopping center? Because obviously you don't want to lose anybody.
Just give me a second, Craig. I think I'm having a technical problem. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you fine. Oh, yeah, you did freeze up, but we can hear you okay.
Don't worry. First of all, and I really thank you for what you've just said, but
well, I think we lost you completely, but when you come back, we'll get the answer for that question, unless you're there. I think you may have to log out and log on again, because we may have lost your sound as well now too. So Roxana, we'll go to you for a moment, and we'll come back to Brendan when he's back on there. Just going through what you were saying, you're doing the first convenience centers and the first retail parks. Which retailers, and if you could mention names, great, but not necessary. What kind of brands or what kind of segments of do you see going into these retail parks?
Well, definitely are the discounters, food or non-food discounters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the type of Pepco, Kick, the sports retailers, which are very active and have very good performances. Drogeries, pet shops, furniture, small DIYs, or home accessories. Electronics are doing very well, and they have a very good appetite for development in physical stores.
Right.
So these are the traditional categories. And of course, we are very careful, and we give attention to the local market. So we are now developing a center in the western part of Romania. So we are also analyzing carefully the habits of the people living that part of the country, and the local retailers active there. Mm-hmm. So the retail parks are also have a strong local component. Local meaning not necessarily national one, but regional one.
Mm-hmm. Okay, great.
Yeah.
And I imagine you're looking at all the other cities as well for these kind of smaller projects, yeah?
Yeah, in general in Romania there is a big appetite for all the owners, the institutional developers. We saw many local investors that are starting to do local retail parks or small convenience centers. So yeah, let's see how this will continue. They are ready to go also in small cities at around 50,000 inhabitants.
Right.
Yeah.
So, okay, great.
So just wanted to raise this the answer of your question regarding the luggage stores or formal fashion, which is also a situation also in the normal shopping centers. So yeah, I believe the developers have to be very careful and to take individually every activity and to support it according to the loss they have and how much they are affected. Yeah, we do this negotiation and these discussions with them basically every day. I have to admit that, as Brandon said previously, maybe during the lockdowns or the months right after the lockdown, the total lockdown, there were many emotions. Sure. People were very emotional, and we heard about many conflicts. And of course, the first step was, okay, lawyers to come in and to solve the situation, what we will do. But I do believe that now, and I see especially in our company here, we are putting a lot of effort together with our tenants to put an end to this situation without having many retailers harmed.
Sure.
It's a common project that we never thought we will go through.
Yeah, so, I think most people
partnership now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, Monica, to you, just dealing with the retailers that you have now, the ones that are doing well, the ones that are having some issues still, like you said, I think it's, no one's really buying fancy dresses or new suits or, work shoes or things like that. So how are you guys dealing with the tenant mix to keep the ones you can, to keep promoting, of course, the ones that are doing well, but also making sure that you're keeping the ones that aren't doing well at the moment together in the tenant mix?
From the in the first lockdown, and also just like Jacek, we try to act very quickly. And in fact, I realized that, this human contact and direct contact, because the stationary phones were not working in the offices, was crucial. So the best relations and contacts you have, the better you could cope with all this situation. Unlike many, because we observe the market, and since we have shopping center and a retail park in construction, but the retailers they are similar and some are the same. We are in constant contact, not only because of the, let's say, performance of Galeria, but the shopping center, but also because of the letting process that was taking place during COVID. Sure. And we were progressing. We have 95% of the area let in the new retail park. So, we were and are in the constant contact, but unlike others, as we observe, we took a decision to really invest in the marketing and in the support of the tenants. For many reasons, you were looking at the property and trying to find savings from the, let's say, project point of view and global point of view, and some costs, maintenance costs were reduced. However, we decided not to reduce the budget for the marketing, but rather increase it. And by this, creating special activities also involving tenants, even though at the very beginning it was very difficult because everyone had its own problems, but then it resulted in a common, let's say, activity that is much helpful. And I believe that the ones that resign from investing in marketing will regret when everything ends. So we reacted quickly. However, in the correspondence and in the contacts we had, and I tried to have direct contact, we were trying to convince and present the standing point that we have to treat every project and every tenant differently. So and I think that helps. We have been receiving letters from tenants that were just directed to everyone, not even to our project, not even to let's say a specific ears and eyes.
Right.
So they were just general, but then we were trying to steer this conversation and contact into a very detailed, sort of a personalized approach. And I think that's very helpful.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. Thank you. Brendan, welcome back.
Apologies, I don't know what happened. I'm not, we use Teams. Zoom seems to have a degree of failure for me. My apologies.
Yeah, no, welcome. Good to have you back. You know, we switched everyone off of Zoom so the sound would be better, which it does work a lot better for the people watching. And I don't know, you know, I guess the technology is never 100%, but yeah, just coming back to the conversation, I was in your, you know, fashion house in Warsaw. Expansion looked great. And like you know, just confirming what you said, the sports stores packed. You couldn't get into them. You know, I felt bad for some of the poor girls that were running the love. You know, I think it was Samsonite or you know,
would be Samsonite, yeah,
these guys, and they just looked sad and you know trying to. But of course, this is a business that's going to come back as well. So,
of course, yeah.
As you're a hands-on guy, how are you? You know, anything specific you can tell us about dealing with this stuff?
So let me. I'll give you the shortened version of what I've said to a lot of people. In summary, my sister-in-law runs a Jet2 office out of Edinburgh. She has 142 staff, air hostesses. And in the middle of July last year, she wrote to all of them and she said, dust off your uniform, get your shoes polished, ready to fly. Roster's coming for the first week in August. And of 142 staff, 108 came back and said, uniform doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean, COVID is shrinking a lot of my clothes as well.
Yeah, and I think that's, so I saw some research recently that said 60, and of course it's very polarized. Half the people are, you know, Joe Wicks, and half the people are drinking wine and watching box sets. So, but people are changing. They're either getting smaller or they're getting larger. And those of you who know me, I don't know whether Julie remembers that, but 3 years ago, I lost 20 kilograms. I went on a mad, you know, midlife crisis, no sugar, no alcohol. And when that happens to you, you know, you don't go and buy one pair of jeans. You need to buy three. You know, you don't buy one suit, you need to buy four. And it's just, you know, shoes are different, of course. But that's exactly what's happened. So people have changed size. I think going back to earlier point, nobody, you know, we're in Moscow, nobody uses the subway anymore. They just don't want to use it. They don't want to touch a handle or a seat of a subway or a bus or a train. And I think, you know, outlet centres, retail parks, the same, you know, the locational strategy, you know, these are retail assets that historically haven't been so crammed. So people understand it's a bit more leisurely. They understand it's free parking, which is key when you don't want to use public transport. And of course, the brand and value message when you're trying to, you're having to bulk buy. I mean, Levi's, I mean, I've never seen so many trucks you know, backing up to our Levi's store in Moscow, and numbers that you wouldn't believe. And you know, of course, we've seen queues before, but nothing like this. Nike as well, sportswear, huge. And yes, you're right. You know, Samsonite, God bless them. I mean, what do you do if nobody's traveling and nobody's going to the office? You know, business, you know, attaches and suitcases. You know, there's not much you can do. And I know them very well. And most of you know I was involved with Samsonite for more than 10 years. So that's the I think, as someone said earlier, you know, there's nothing that they can do. They can do the best. They're a great brand, great tenant. That's the tenant you want to sit down and say, okay, let's have an adult conversation. What do you need to survive? We want you at the other end. And that's what we've done. I have to say, we had about 30%, which again is remarkable, but again, company stores. We had 30% of tenants who never approached us, never came, paid their invoices, you know, absolutely zero request, impact, anything else. Which again, you know, these are great partners of ours, and we've known them for a long time. So, but it works both ways.
Yeah. No, I mean, of course, and the Samsonite stuff will come back. I mean, for 10 years, I think my suitcases never moved out of the front room just because we were switching out. And, about 3 months ago, the cleaning woman actually put them up somewhere because I think she just realized, I wasn't going anywhere. So for probably a while. And I was like, oh, where's the suitcases? Oh, yeah, I guess I don't need them in the front room anymore.
But if it's interesting, and just for a minute, before I do my budgets every year, I speak to, I'm sure everyone does the same, all my main tenants, and just get their feedback. What do you think?
Right.
And what was clear and universal, and sometimes it's also about foreign exchange because we're in Moscow and ruble euro exchange rates, but universal feedback was, and the word that was used was an interesting one. I've been a retailer all my life. Not many people have said champagne cork. Budgeting, and that kind of January to June or July seems like June or July is going to be the time. And I've started to ask all my female staff, when was the last time you bought a pair of shoes? When's the last time you bought a dress? No. And what will you do for? And so I think we'll get this champagne cork effect.
Yeah.
And Samsonite's a perfect example. You can't leave Russia. If you're a Russian national at the moment, you cannot go on holiday anywhere except Russia. And nobody wants to holiday in Russia. So as soon as that door is released, we will have that champagne cork effect on business. I think the second half of this year is going to be meteoric in terms of business.
Yeah, no, I agree. There's one place that's open over here, and we had just a lunch with a client. We're like, wow, we haven't had any wine for how long, unless it was at home or just out and or anything else. And we're it's just a whole funny experience. Yeah. When you're out of it for a while. So no, good. Thanks for that, Monica. I think myself and Julie would be very happy to hear that you think that you're increasing your marketing budget, and you think everybody should, because of course, Julie and I think the same way, I would imagine, on that. So, no, I think that, it's, but you're right. It's up and down. It depends on the projects. It depends on the strategy. I would say we're probably, 70% of our clients probably more cut the budget, if not 80%, than adding to the budget. Probably a few have kept the same, and then, 5% have actually increased the budget, I'd say. I don't know. Julie, how do you see it in, more from international perspective?
Yes, I think exactly that. Just that you have some people who've cut the budget, and some people have increased it, or they've increased it in different places. I think one of the things that's really interesting is how can you link your retailers together. Mm-hmm. I think there's an interesting idea of, for example, looking at your leisure activities and linking those activities with the food and beverage, and also with the leisure retailers, and we're seeing that with Gravity, where they're creating collaborations with the F&B and driving traffic to the F&B, and also giving vouchers for the leisure brands, mm-hmm. And so the clothing brands, so that you're sharing, you having your retailers working together in a sense to bring this back. And I think that that's got potential. And I think retailers are interested in that to some extent. I also think there's an aspect of, we talk about destination a lot in retail. And I think there's something about daily destination as well, about how do we create traffic which is on a regular basis and on a daily basis. I mean, we've obviously, I'm slightly biased. I like the idea of having play, and that being a daily destination thing where people take their children regularly and more and often. But I think you can do it through other things. But I like the idea of daily destination and how you create that as well. So I think there's all sorts of ways of looking at the marketing, which is interesting, and we just need to keep innovating and thinking.
Right. No, I mean, yeah, the play, the soft play stuff is great for the kids. I think a lot of people like that. And, you mentioned Gravity a few times, and I've seen some of their operations, and it's great. I mean, they really do a professional job. But I haven't talked to the guys at Gravity for a while, but do they have any locations in the world that are open at this moment?
No. Oh, yes, okay. In Saudi Arabia.
Saudi Arabia, yeah, okay. Saudi Arabia is open. No, I mean, still good. I
think, certainly in the UK, we will be expecting to be open in probably 2 months.
Uh-huh.
In April, actually, I think we should be open. But they're expanding rapidly. They've just taken on a 5,000 square meter project in Wandsworth in London. And there's other London projects that they're being asked to look at. But they're also, they have a project in Leipzig, they have projects in the Nordics they're looking at in Spain. They'd love projects in Central Eastern Europe.
Right, they're trying to coordinate them for when they think things will open again.
Yeah,
their operation will be open. Yeah,
yeah. I think what happened last year in October, they had a massive month. As soon as they were open, what you found was that people were desperate to get out there and to do some leisure activities.
But we've got some clients in Saudi Arabia that have fitness clubs and that are open, and they said this is the best because they're open. It's the best time they've ever had as far as new subscriptions or new registrations and people coming to the clubs.
But we're also seeing space. I mean, space has been a big issue for some of these leisure brands, and we're seeing more leisure brands coming as well. There's an announcement with Mattel, who are doing the project with Brookfield and EC in Potsdamer Platz in Berlin, and we've been talking to them about other locations.
Yeah, I've seen some of the renderings of that.
Yeah,
that's just amazing.
Really
It looks like a great fun place to go.
They're really exciting, and they've been working with Play Power and Playtime on how they can support each other. And then there's a lot of collaboration going on with the leisure brands as well at the moment, and space opening up for leisure brands. I think to talk about outlet, I think in a context of outlet, I think we're also seeing an increasing amount of play and leisure going into outlet for different reasons and different types, and creating those destinations, which I think is a really interesting development too.
Yeah, and the outlets would never do it before, I don't think, right? I never saw that in outlets in the past.
It's coming.
Yeah,
it's coming.
Exactly.
I think what's happened though, I think the issue is where you make it a cookie. I can never say this, cookie cutter. That's my accent for you. But I don't like it when it's just the same as everywhere else. There's no reason for that. It should be in line with the destination. It should be about the city, or it should be designed well and that kind of thing. You shouldn't just take it and plonk it.
Jam it everywhere. Exactly.
I think if you can, because then you can use it for your marketing. Then you can, if you have, Monica, we've talked about the fox before, where you have animals or creatures or cars or whatever it might be, trains. You can then use that in the marketing and create characters and that kind of thing. And I think that makes it more valuable. And you make it part of the development. That's where I think it's valuable.
Absolutely. Well, I can see we're getting kind of down to the last several minutes. This time's always goes super fast. Winston, I see a few people in chat, and do we have any questions or comments you want to throw out there?
There's a few things coming in, and to the retail park developers, the question is, since the onset of the pandemic, have you altered your development strategies at all? Are you thinking of going into different locations, maybe locations you weren't considering before? And also, are you seeing non-traditional retailers from retail parks wanting to enter your projects because they're closed in other locations?
So Jacek, let's jump to you on that question.
Yeah, of course. First of all, we are going down now to the cities, even below 15,000 citizens city. Here, maybe I mention one very interesting discussion I have had with the owner of electro stores in Poland, who actually was asking me, how many more stores you think we'll have next year? I want to be polite, say 10, 20% more. Says no, 40% down. Why? Because such store will become for us not only a store, it will be a storage, it will be a showroom, it will be click and collect place. So now many actually want to be smaller cities, but the only ones than being fifth or tenth in a big city. So that's why we see big stability on our projects in these small cities just now. Like, for instance, one of our projects in Chodziesz is probably one of our best ones. Second thing about tenants which are coming to us, yes, we see permanently a change of mind. I remember, as I said, I am from Gdynia town. So from my area is coming LPP group. And of course, we know each other, say, pretty well. I've been going to them, I don't know, 10 years, saying, begging, convincing, come to retail park. No, no, no.
Right.
Now, Sinsay became a miracle in our retail parks. They are damn good going and they have really good turnovers. And we see that this is very right concept for retail park and many more. I can mention SMIC or MPIC and more is coming just now. Some of them don't want to mention probably their name by myself. Let them mention this once upon a time. But
Sure.
You'll see more brands coming to retail parks than ever before.
Right. I imagine in a lot of cases you could double the size of some of the current retail parks and you'd have retailers for them. Yeah.
Yeah, they are changing their sizes, they are adopting themselves, they are organizing them every year better way. I see that this helps to retail parks because, you know, we cannot beat by architecture with our projects. We are only able to compete with a proper brand mix. So we've been actively working on good brand mix. And when we've been seeing we are missing fashion, that's why we approach LPP. Listen, guys, go there. It's no competition on your product range. And this suddenly launched. So brand mix is for us very important.
Yeah, excellent. Monica, I think you want to say a few words.
Jacek said that you know, mentioned the architecture. In fact, economy determines urban form more than architectural vision. And why do retail parks, you know, perform so well? Everyone, I think, understand. I will not repeat what the whole market says. And this is, let's say, it has been proven over this pandemic that retail parks have been have beaten shopping centers by 15-20% in terms of the turnover and the frequency of visits. So this is quite important. And that's why it's also successful also for the tenants. Referring to what Jacek said, it's I see it in a positive way because some of the tenants change their try to differentiate and change their into some alternative formats, or they look for new formats, sort of from the abroad. We will see maybe more of pop-up specialists, boutique or pickup centers. But for example, CCC is now entering with their new format, which is half price. So I see it's very downsizing some of their existing shops and expanding into the already footprint they have, or they are looking for new locations. So discounts retailers are definitely the ones that will come, also some new formats and new tenants. In terms of how do we see whether we changed the vision? Yes, before I had a vision that we can do this, what is missing on the market, so mid-sized shopping centers, regional ones, let's say sort of a convenience shopping centers, rather that should be successful, and retail parks. However, these days I find it very difficult to finance, to get the bank financing, and also to have a proper liquidity, so find investors for such products. Therefore, I tend to, let's say, turn into the investments in the towns of between 20 and 100, let's say, and maybe some district convenience in the larger cities. And of the projects that are above 2,000, when it, you know, excluding the supermarkets, up to let's say 20, there is already sort of a normal form of the retail park abroad, but still big one in Poland, and maybe this convenience shopping center. The retail parks are and may be financeable. I find it difficult to finance even small shopping centers, and therefore it determines our strategy.
Right, okay. Well, we're coming down to our last couple of minutes. So what I want to do is just do a quick roundup with everybody. Give us 30 seconds or a minute, some kind of pearls of wisdom or thought for the future. Julie, let's just start with you. Any final comments, pearls of wisdom, throw out to us?
Yes, I think I'm going to stick with well-being. I think as a key thing going forward, and how we can encourage people to come back to our destinations. And I think if they believe that there are, you know, if we can make well-being part of that offer, I think that that's a very strong incentive.
Yeah, great. Roxana, up to you. From Afi, any final kind of pearls of wisdom or angles that we didn't hit on that you think we need to bring up?
Okay, yeah, to continue Julie's idea with entertainment component and all this combination, it's also our view. We have here Cotroceni, which is the biggest shopping center in the country, and it has the biggest entertainment area in the country. So we continue to expand this the leisure and all the combination around it, because we do trust that this is the way to have a more complex partnership in between the marketing teams, both retailers and shopping centers marketing, online marketing also, because it's a new era for marketing anyway.
Sure.
So yeah.
And thanks for marketing your brand at our event. Thank you for sponsoring. We appreciate that too. Yeah.
Okay.
Hopefully
so we do trust that this is the way to bring retailers back. In regard to the future, yeah, we are very optimistic. Our tenants trust us. There is a very strong partnership in between us. This was also proven by the fact that in October we opened a brand new shopping center in Brasov, which is like a real shopping center with entertainment, with cinema, with everything else inside. Yeah, we are very proud of it because even in the middle of the pandemic, we managed to do this. So all these reasons together can bring us to good, better times.
Great, thank you. And Jacek, to you for last comments.
We see now time as a window opportunity for further development of retail parks. We are now delivering like 7-8 projects a year. We'll continue like that for hopefully 5 or more years. We will step into new market for us, also rental of apartments. So PRS we see also as interesting. So that's our new second leg, which will develop further, and we wish ourselves some luck like with retail parks.
Great, great. And Monica, last comments from you, please.
Well, I believe that the most important thing for us right now is to bring the footfall back and turnovers back, which means that both the owners, the landlords, the tenants, the retailers need to give the customers a reason to visit. And also we have already started to create needs, in fact, and remind people what is that they need and why do they come and visit. Not only the leisure that is difficult to use right now, but we have plenty of that, and it's really very important. And for the retail parks, you know, thinking that there is over 50 million square meters in Europe of the retail parks, and just 6 million about out of it is in CE, where the, let's say, Czech Republic, Romania, and Poland are having 70% of it. There is still lots of room for retail park developments, and also not only those big ones, but also smaller ones that are maybe more sensitive to new developments, new competitive developments. But I see that as long as we will be able to get proper financing or alternative forms of financing, such as I experienced lately, leaseback, for example, and I believe it will become more popular, then we will be, let's say, on a very good track to develop this retail sector and retail park sector.
Okay, great. And Brendan, we're saving you for last because we know there'll be some great pearls of wisdom. So we'll wrap it up with you here.
I think now's our time to shine, because if if the consumer's been locked up at home for so long and really their retail interaction has all been online, which often is a dreadful experience, now's the time for developers and landlords to show how great an offline shopping experience can be. So for me, the real emphasis now is about service, is about customer experience, and for us, of course, brand and value. For the other guys, it's more about entertainment. But I think now's the time to be able to really show our consumer that actually the experience online cannot be matched when you get into a proper, retail environment and have that. And I think, as I said earlier, we're going to have this tsunami wave of business August, September onwards. So now's the time to shine. I don't think it'll be long before the various governments globally attach taxes to people like Amazon in order to repay the benefits they've had during COVID. I think that'll happen naturally. But we haven't talked much in this call about online, offline. But I think that's the area we need to really focus on. Real good service and experience when people come flooding back to us.
Right. And it's always about good service in the end, isn't it? No matter whatever you're buying.
One of the things I would say, I'm probably one of the few people who've managed to travel because of different things and status in Russia and different things during COVID. But I have to say, in hotels in particular, even although they're going through low occupancy, the service has gone from, in very, very good hotel, Bristol, for example, in Warsaw, where I stay, Sheraton in Bucharest, the service has gone from there to almost zero. I mean, it really is woeful. Really? And they're using COVID as this, well, it's COVID, and it's completely the wrong attitude. They should be over-servicing or providing a better service in order to encourage people back. My opinion.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. A lot of these hotels, they've cut the staff so far back that the guy that's cooking the food is also the guy checking you in. That's also the person making your, they're doing so many different things.
Better to do it another way. If you can't do it well, don't do it at all. Right. I'm a great, SPG hotel man, but really, and I've had a great experience all my history in Warsaw, but my God, it was bad, really bad.
Well, I'm sure you've been vocal to them and they understand your
Yeah. They reacted well, which is positive. Yeah.
When they see that you're checking in, I'm sure they put a few more staff on those days now. Well, good. Well, thank you everybody for being a part of this panel. We ran a couple minutes over, but I think it's, we're always trying to have a bit of fun. I know people are getting tired of these Zoom calls, but next year, lots of champagne all day at the Europa Property Retail Awards from 8 o'clock in the morning till whenever it ends, late at night.
We'll hold you to it.
So for those of you that are on the jury, we'll see you tonight at the jury dinner. Tomorrow, we've got a couple of great panels. even one on hotel and hospitality and how that's tying into retail, even now, a big kind of IT innovation panel, very interesting. And then of course the awards. So, and of course we still have a couple of awards that are still available for sponsoring. So if you haven't sponsored anything yet, there's a good opportunity for that. I want to just say thank you for the people coming through our LinkedIn group, because that's how we're running it, to make sure the sound is good on Zoom. We have 172 right at the moment. Thank you for being part of it, and we'll see you either later tonight or at the next panels.